Hello.
Man,
How are
I
you?
hope this works. I've been trying to log on for the last 5 minutes, but the internet sucks in Sydney.
Oh, does it? That's
Um,
surprising.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, we've got you now. You're here. You look great. You look healthy.
Yeah,
All
thank you. I feel healthy.
good. All important things right now. So how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Quick
Well,
question, in
yeah.
case we get cut off, which is likely to happen
Yeah.
because um, what do I do? What's the best?
So if you get cut off, you know, take
Do I just
whatever
log back
moment you
on?
need. I'll just start chatting away here, and then you can just go back on to Instagram and start watching the live again, and then you can request to join, which is I think on your end it's like two faces down by the comment
Right.
area. Do you see that? Um,
And
or yeah,
there's no way that I can log on through my computer, is there?
there might be. I've never tried Instagram through my computer, but I know some people watch it through their computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can try. I think when you watch my live, you'll as soon as you start watching, there'll be something that pops up on the screen that says request to join, and that's what you choose.
Right, I did. That's what popped up here.
Yeah.
Well,
Some people are saying
maybe we
no.
won't. No,
People
no.
are saying there's we're having conflicting reports.
There is a desktop version.
Help us out, people.
It's just the phone mate. That sounds like somebody in Sydney, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Let me
Well,
find your
let's
left.
see how long
We'll
this
give it a
goes.
go. We'll give it a go. So good morning.
Good
I know
morning.
you're coming to us from Sydney, so it's Thursday morning there.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's nice and sunny. I don't know. It's fall there now, right?
It's starting to get into winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's today is a bit cloudy,
Yeah.
but
Well,
still lovely.
okay, good. Well, thanks for doing this. I know you have a newborn at home and you've got a lot going on. So,
Yeah,
really
it's my
appreciate
pleasure.
you taking the time. I don't know if there's any TFMers in the house, uh,
Yeah.
but if there is, uh, let us know. So, Destin, you and we went to the same film school. Um, I we never actually spoke at film school, but your name is on the halls of fame at SDSU now. So
Are there halls of fame at
in
SDSU?
in their own way, for sure. So I kind of want to start just by talking about that baby director Destin back in San Diego, because I know that that's where you started with Short Term 12, right? The short film
Hmm.
version of that.
Yeah.
So take me back to that, because you wrote that, and what inspired you to write that in the first place?
I was before I went to film school. I graduated from college at Point Loma Nazarene University in San
Mm-hmm.
Diego, and then I had about 2 years of job searching, um, in which case I just took whatever odd jobs I could find. One of them was working at a group home for teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
and that ended up being what was
Mm,
the genesis of Short Term 12.
okay. Was there a lot of truthful stories that came out of that like had parallel stories with the actual film?
Was actually um, somewhat of an adaptation of journals that I had kept while I was working there.
Mm-hmm.
It really was, I honestly just took the job because I couldn't get another job anywhere else,
Yeah.
and a friend of mine was working there. I had experience with you know with caretaking of sorts when I was in high school, and so I stumbled into this job, had no idea what it was going to be. It rocked me the first couple months. It was really difficult emotionally for me to handle. But the longer I stayed there, the more I fell in love with the place and the kids there. And I ended up working there for 2 years, and it was, I mean, I still look back at it as a really huge life-changing experience for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly was in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is, I don't know, I do, when I think about that time in my life, it's like, I mean, I talk to a lot of students and, you know, high school students. I taught high school for a while, and there's always a lot of pressure to try to make it, try to
Yeah.
break into the industry, try
Yeah.
to whatever industry you're into. Like there's this, how, that's usually the question, how do I
Mhm.
break in?
Mhm.
And for me, that was a, I don't know, that was something, that was a question that just scared the shit out of me at the time, and so I just wouldn't even go there, and I wasn't
Mhm.
trying to break into anything, but I did know that I loved making movies, and
Mhm.
so I was just under the my plan was to get whatever job I could get, which, you know, that was one of my jobs.
Mhm.
I taught high school for a bit. I did wedding videos. I worked at a hotel setting up video equipment at a hotel. But I was always just getting jobs that would keep my brain free to be able to write on the weekends and allow me to just save up enough money to do a short film every summer. And that
Right.
was gonna be my life. Like,
Yeah.
and it was great.
Yeah.
I had no idea it would snowball into something like this.
Yeah. It is, it's a really scary question. And I think that that's everyone's question, you know, is how do I make it? And it's like, what an overwhelming way to look at it, you know, and
Yeah,
instead,
I mean, I think psychologically it's what fucks a lot of artists up because
oh yeah.
it is the opposite of where your brain should be when you're trying to do something honest. And,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, as in, I mean, since we're kind of talking about the casting process, it's
Yeah.
like that it's it's I mean, I feel like when a lot of my job is to try to get them to a place where they feel comfortable because I
Yeah.
want to see what they would actually do in a comfortable state. But a
Hmm.
lot of times I can tell when they walk in the room they're already psyched themselves out
Oh yeah.
with the pressure of
Yeah.
trying to really trying to get the job, or oh my gosh, I'm going to meet the director, and
Yeah.
that it's not really the best state to be in when you're trying to show your true self,
Yeah.
whether that's acting or, for me, it's the same with writing. If I'm writing something and I'm just like, oh, how is this project going to be received? How is this story? How is it going to get into Sundance? How's, like, those kinds of things start really fucking with the process,
Yeah.
I think.
Instead of just creating to create, you put a lot of
Yeah.
pressure, you know. So talking about being in the room, because that is such a, you know, nerve wracking or experience, or such an important experience, you know, for actors, and such an important process and everything. Um, do you like to be in the room with the actors? You know, there's kind of a couple different ways the casting process can go. You know, we can send you clips for you to watch, and we can be the ones who kind of direct the actor into that take, and give them notes and send you ideas. But do you like to be in the room? Do you prefer that one-on-one contact? But is that easier for you to make a decision?
Eventually, typically, I like to be in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly just, if I had all the time in the world, yeah, I'd be in the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
It really comes down to the amount of other things that
Yeah.
I'm having to
Yeah.
do on the movie at the time.
Yeah.
I typically, I mean, I honestly really love watching first auditions just on tape, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
a home tape or whatever. I like I like to see what an actor how an actor interprets the material without direction, and
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
tells me a little something about them.
Yeah.
Uh, but I also, you know, once a casting director knows sort of the style and tone of the thing that I'm going for, they can at least guide the actors into, not being so big or theatrical
Yeah.
if that's the tone of
Right.
the thing, and
Right.
that can definitely be helpful as well.
Yeah. So, if it's okay, I wanted to talk just a little bit about the casting process of Short Term 12.
Sure.
Because I think that created, some really beautiful working relationships for you. Um, so, and certainly for Brie, I mean, that was her, in my opinion, that was her breakout role, you know? So how did that come about? Was she someone pitched to you? Did she audition for you? How did that sort of come about for you?
She did an audition. She was in our conversation with our producers, and um, uh, Rich was our casting director, and Bree was someone that we were just talking about and found out that she might be interested. So, and I was a big fan of hers. I could see that she was very good with comedy from the United States of Terra, but
Mm-hmm.
she was also a we sent the script to her. She really responded to it, and we just got on a Skype call just like this.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And I actually find that to be um, really informative to be on a Skype call with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You just see what they look like in a frame.
Mm-hmm.
There's, you know, if I think you can already sense like I have a bit of nervousness. I look around and like and there but those types of mannerisms are
Yeah.
are what makes characters interesting,
Yeah.
and it was um actors typically have, you typically just see them in photos and you see like the glamour, but you don't really see the intricacies that make a
Yeah.
person really interesting.
Yeah.
And um, it was pretty quick on that call that as Bree was expressing her opinions and about the material and her her thoughts on life, it was just very quick that she was a very deep, interesting, wonderful person who really reminded me of what I hoped the Bree character would be.
Yeah.
For me, in that role in particular, Bree or the great sorry the Grace character, I said
Yeah.
Bree, the Grace
Fix it up.
Grace is
Yeah.
such a internal character with so much going on in
Yeah.
her head that um what in that first meeting with Bree, I could just see all the thoughts
Mm.
going behind her eyes. She's a very deep thinker,
Mm.
and it shows through in her eyes and her mannerisms, and
Yeah.
that was the thing that really uh, captured me.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the time, I didn't know that we would end up being friends. I didn't know that
Yeah.
she was also a really incredible, caring, empathetic human being. Those are the things that
Mm-hmm.
you hope actors are when they
Right.
come on board.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like I really lucked out in meeting her and meeting all of the cast on that movie.
Absolutely. I mean, you really had a stellar cast in from my point of view. Was it a similar situation with John Gallagher Jr.? Same sort of, was it like a Skype situation?
Yeah, Skype with John as well. I mean, because that, typically I like to cast whoever the anchor is of the story first,
Mm.
and then ask their opinion on if they have ideas of people who, particularly the relationships that are going to be kind of intimate with them, that if
Mm-hmm.
they have thoughts or ideas. And um, John was actually somebody that was on our list, but Bree also was championing
Oh, good.
to reach out to. And yeah, I mean, I love John's performance in the newsroom,
Yeah,
and he just like,
he's
yeah,
amazing.
nobody could have played a better Mason. He just
I
has
agree.
like, he encapsulates the heart of
Yeah,
Mason.
totally. I love that you sort of take her, you know, thoughts into consideration. And I think that's important to know, you know, when we're casting too, a lot of times when we're casting a really large love interest for, you know, a series regular or a lead on something, we do ask the actor, you know, who do you like to work with? And so I think it's so great to hear that from you, because I don't think actors realize that we're really interested to hear from them, because they're going to be the ones, you know, having this very intimate relationship with somebody. So if they
Yeah,
have, you know,
I mean, if it's somebody that I mean, you know, there's been times when actors have to really pretend their chemistry,
yeah,
and it's way easier if there's just a natural trust there
yeah,
already,
yeah,
or at least like a mutual respect in each other's work. It
yeah,
just, then we don't have to make it all up when we're in front of the camera.
totally. So once that, you know, after the success of Short Term 12 and winning Sundance and all of that amazing stuff, did things really start to pick up for you? Um, and just like
Which
scripts really,
are we talking about the short or the feature?
the feature, I believe, because I think that,
Um,
yeah, you kind of got to where you are. You know, you did the short, and then you won the Nichols, right?
yeah.
That,
I mean, typically when people, you know, when you have your bio printed somewhere or people give you like an introduction before you walk on stage, they just spout out all the successes
yeah,
of your life. Uh, the short film Short Term 12 won the grand jury prize at Sundance, um, which was fucking amazing.
yeah,
But they don't mention that that was like, you know, my eighth short film,
right, right,
and my probably like my at least eighth, yeah, probably maybe like seventh rejection from Sundance before I
yeah,
got accepted once.
yeah,
Um, and then right the the next blip in my bio is that the feature script based on Short Term 12 won the Nicholl Fellowship, which was amazing.
yeah,
Um, but you know, they don't mention then how many rejections I got from that exact same script before one success.
yeah,
You don't hear that
yeah,
I was literally about to, like, the month that we got the notice that we made the quarterfinals of the Nicholl Fellowship. I had given up on the script. I thought it was a dead script because
wow,
no, it had been rejected from every lab that I had submitted to, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong with it.
yeah,
I kind of just got in my head, and I was like, oh, I need to do something else. And then I ended up winning the Nicholl Fellowship, which, um, and I don't know, that to me, the thing to remember for myself
mm-hmm.
is that success moments are great. You should be grateful and um, you know, soak them up.
Yeah,
They definitely don't mean a ton. Like you expect these successes to like launch you into something
yeah, yeah,
and make life easier, or make it doesn't really make things
yeah,
easier.
just different, right?
You just have to keep fighting to get
Yeah,
your thing made.
mm,
Because even after we won the Nicholl Fellowship, I I thought, oh, maybe now we'll be able to get funding to finally do Short Term 12, but we couldn't. So that's why my first feature ended up being I Am Not a Hipster,
Right. Well, that was
which
it. That was a huge success in itself.
yeah. I mean, and it ended up like going to Sundance, which is
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yeah.
It just has to come from a, you have to just constantly every day remind yourself like that you're doing this, what you're doing this for, what you're in this like
Yeah.
crazy rat race for, because the the, the truth is a lot of times people are right when they're telling you you're crazy, and we are kind of crazy to be doing these things. I
Yeah.
mean, for I Am Not a Hipster, it was like, I was dirt poor. I mean, I put all my savings into it. Which was $20,000. I was living off of top ramen at the
Yeah.
time, and um my roommate Ron Nager, who produced it, also put in $20,000, and then he convinced
Oh, Ron.
yeah, Ron's best, and then he convinced his uncle Freddie to put in 20,000. So we
Wow.
had $60,000
That's
to
amazing.
do this little movie that we didn't think was going to go to Sundance. We didn't think anything was going to happen with it. But we we did it, and the experience was amazing. And it ended up being the stepping stone to to doing short term 12.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very wary about like saying it like that, because it wasn't meant to be a stepping stone. And I feel like if we were
Yeah.
making it to be a stepping stone, we would have fucked it up somehow. Like we were literally making it saying, oh, $20,000 is about how much I would spend on a year of film school. Let's
Right.
just say this is our film school, and just say, screw it. Let's, like, whatever we want to do, let's just do
Yeah.
it in this movie. Like, let's not do it for any other reason
Right.
than that. And so we were all kind of willing to just, I wouldn't say burn our money, but invest our money in the
Mm-hmm.
experience of making the movie.
Yeah.
And I, it ended up working out, but
Yeah.
I, I would, I don't know. I just would remind myself that if it didn't go to Sundance, if it didn't, like, it would not have been a failure.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I love that. And I think that it's true. We do. We spend all this money to learn and have experiences, you know? Um, and I think people are like, oh, is this worth it? Is this going to get me to my goal? And to not focus so much on that, and to just look at it as, I want to create something. I want to learn from this. I want to get an experience out of this. And that's a great investment, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I want to kind of talk more casting stuff too. So what was the casting process for you, specifics, but going from indie world casting to studio film casting, like just kind of generically speaking, was that a different process for you, or like
The
vaguely similar?
the yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise is that it's pretty much exactly the same.
Good.
It's getting as many people as you can to read this material,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully you find the right person
Mm-hmm.
who matches up to that material. Um, it's it's a hard thing to talk about from my point of view, because I have no idea. I don't go into casting with some type of like plan or strategy, or I just like it honestly is the least favorite part of the process. It's excruciating for me.
Casting is?
Until casting is, I hate it.
Really? That's
Un,
so fascinating, because so many people, I mean, not to, say whatever it is about casting, but people usually like it.
I,
But
I hate it. I hate it until I find the right person.
Yeah.
But to me, it's so scary. It's
Yeah.
terrifying, and that's the thing that I think actors forget is that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know other directors, but for me, I'm scared shitless when an actor walks in the room.
Really?
I feel very vulnerable because
Mm.
often I'm the one who has written the scene, and I'm thinking, oh, this scene fucking sucks, and this person now has read my sucky words and is trying to interpret it into something. So
God.
and I honestly, usually it's we're working with a scene that I've never heard read before.
Yeah.
So it's to me, I'm just full of my own
Mm.
self-doubt. And is this scene going to work? Is if this scene doesn't work, is the whole movie not going to work? Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And also, is there anybody in the world who can play this character in a way that feels
Right.
like going in with some kind of strategy on how to find the perfect
Yeah.
Mason. I'm
Yeah.
just like, please God, is there somebody out there who can do this? And um, it's yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange process to me because it's always so clear when the right person. It's been so rare that there's been like even two people who are, oh, it could be this one and it could be this one for the role.
Okay. That's interesting.
For me, it's like it's a hard no until
Mm.
it's an emphatic yes.
Okay.
It's weird. Uh,
Yeah. Well, that's good. You know exactly what you're looking for. That's good.
I don't though. I honestly have no idea what I'm looking for.
You don't
Um,
until you
on,
hear it or you see
on
it.
until somebody moves me. That's all I'm
Right, right,
looking
right,
for.
right.
Is like from my point of view, it's like if an actor can make me forget, could be so in it that I forget that I wrote the words.
Mm.
Um, it makes me so happy.
Mm.
Like I get so relieved and
Yeah.
happy that I feel like, oh my God, this scene and this character can come alive.
Hmm.
And until that moment happens, I just feel like I'm letting everybody down.
Well,
Because
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's this. It's the same for us. I mean, we're trying to understand your work as best as we can, so we can have that feeling too. You know, and sometimes that can be kind of like a frustrating process until we find the person that moves us. You know,
yeah.
um, and someone actually asked. I'll just put it up here, and I'll kind of. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit more to it, but is there
Well, how
like
do you
what?
do that? You just for the role.
I'm going to take it off now because it's blocking your face. But I mean, just to kind of tweak that a little bit, is it something about their personality or the way that, like when you were talking to Bree through that Skype call, and you just saw a quality in her as a person that you really connected with? Like, is there something about an actor when they walk in the room that their essence just like speaks to you too?
Um, let me think of the different. Everyone's so different.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would say that the commonality of actors that I tend to gravitate towards
Mm-hmm.
um, are actors who are just really in touch with themselves and who they
Mm-hmm.
are, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're incredibly, you know, personable and fun, like someone like Adam Shapiro, who I
Mm-hmm.
love and think is a
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal actor, like
Agreed.
he would, he'd come in and he'd like shoot the shit and make you laugh and
Yeah.
but it'd be genuine. He's not
Yeah.
like forcing it. It's
Right.
like that's just who he is.
Yeah.
If someone who wasn't quite like that came in and tried to do the same thing, I'd just be like, all right, let's just get into the scene. Like,
Yeah.
let's, but there's other people like Dominic Bogart who I've worked with who wouldn't even say hi. He'll just come in and just like he's just in it. He just wants to get into the scene,
Yeah.
and I don't give a shit if you don't want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
If you're just like come in and just want to do your work, I completely respect that. So it's just people. I think the closest you can get to a room, I'm going to be my complete self, and who cares if anybody likes it or not. I'm just going to see this moment as an experience. To me, that's the best headspace you can be in. You could be the best actor in the world, walk in and just not be right for the part, and you're just not right for the part, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I typically, if I'm always clocking good actors, even if they're
Yeah.
not right for the part, and it's awesome to see somebody that I can potentially, think back on when I have another role that pops up.
Right. That's great. So one thing that I've heard from just through the casting community, and a lot of us have some differing opinions on this, but it'd be great to hear what you think on this. Actors, you were kind of speaking to this a little bit. Each actor has their own process to get to where they need to be in a scene for that character, whatever it is. Maybe it's a really emotional scene that you're about to watch, and they need some time to get there. And sometimes actors feel like everyone has their own way of doing that, how do you feel on set with actors who might need to take some extra time or take some extra steps or do whatever it is that they need to do? I'm curious what you're fine with, but some people are like, no, you need to be able to, like, I don't have time to waste. Like, I need you to do that work in your trailer, and I need you to come to set and just do it.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. I think they should. I think every actor is. I mean, to me, the types of movies I make, like acting, the performances are, um, you know, they are the thing that makes or breaks the movie. And if it's a scene that like requires somebody to I mean, I've never had an actor have to like take an hour, but if that's what it took, like if the scene, like I'm game for. But of course, if an actor takes an hour on every single scene, that would start to drain. But yeah, I don't know how to collaborate with our actors in a way that allows them to have an environment to do the best work that they can. And for me, directing is constantly changing and evolving. I don't force actors into my way of directing. I try to communicate with them and find out what is how I can work with them to get them to a place where they can give the best performance. And
that's great. What has been an audition that has stood out to you, and why? And it doesn't have to. You don't have to.
You know who it was? It was Kate. I mean, there's a couple, but okay. I mean, Lakeith Stanfield for sure. Like he came in for the short. He came in for my short film. Which I think we only saw, like, I mean, we didn't have many people, so we casted for one day and saw a handful of people.
Uh,
And Keith was one of them. Adam Shapiro also came in that same day.
awesome.
And
It's a good
um,
work day.
Lakeith, it was funny because he'd actually been auditioning for a bunch of different Disney things.
Hmm.
So his initial instinct was to kind of play it in a bit more Disney theatrical.
Interesting.
But it really just took some just telling him to just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Don't just perform it how you feel it. And he was just such a natural performer right off the bat.
Hmm.
Look at him now.
I know. I know.
Caitlin Deaver was also another one. Um, she blew me away in the audition.
Yeah.
She made me cry in the audition,
Oh.
which was
Uh, you worked with the casting director on the short film, right?
yeah, with Katie Taylor.
Okay.
She was working under a casting director and kind of let us they let us use their office to you know
Mm-hmm.
to do our casting session.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she also was Katie was really instrumental in helping us get Brad Hankey in school in Africa for a film school in Africa called
Oh
Film
wow.
School Africa.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Was there a budget for that for them
Uh,
for the actors?
no.
Really?
Uh, I think our actors were getting paid $100 a day or something.
Okay.
Like um, I mean the whole short film cost me $4,000. It was just like
Wow.
my.
That's amazing.
I mean,
I mean,
for film students, like, I mean, it's really up to you. But the way that my mentality was, well, one, I have no money, so I don't really have a choice. But
yeah.
I tried to make more stuff for less money rather than putting
Yeah.
a whole bunch of money into one short film. Um, so all of my film, I mean, and back then we were shooting on film, so the film was the majority of our money was going
Yeah.
to. I think 2,000 of that $4,000 was
Yeah.
for the film and processing.
Makes sense.
But I yeah I really I don't know, indie filmmaking just teaches you a a whole lot about how to beg for favors and get a bunch of things for free.
True. It's true. Um, would you say there's like an overarching note that you tend to give, like a general note that you find yourself giving actors, whether it's in the room or on set? Is there something that you find that you're repeating a lot?
I always repeat, that was great. Let's do it again.
Mm. Just to see what else they can do.
I I love. Sometimes I just say let's do three in a row. I mean, I like to learn from what actors are doing and then make adjustments. So once I learn, because I often, I mean, I'm always going in with a preconceived idea, but I don't like I try to be open to what an actor is putting out into the scene as well, and then that hopefully evolves my preconceived idea into something better.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like we go through all this trouble of writing a script and pre-production, and when we get to the place where we're rolling the camera, I just like to play a little bit and find the scene with an actor.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's just like let's just try another one, and then um, bring reminding it. I think I love actors who are not afraid to go big, to even go
Mm.
too big.
Okay.
Um, and once, because it's so easy to say that that's the right emotion, like just bring it,
Yeah.
just bring it
Yeah.
in now.
Yeah.
Um,
So, when talking about having the freedom to play, how do you feel about actors who ad lib either in the audition or on set? Do you prefer that they stick to the script, or how do you feel about that?
Depends how good they are at ad-libbing.
True.
I don't care if somebody's it's also like, I mean, it depends on, typically, if in the casting on set, I don't care. Like, yeah, you can have a take and just sometimes we'll purposely ad lib through the
Yeah.
whole scene just to loosen things up and
Mm-hmm.
forget about the lines for a little bit so they're fresh.
Yeah.
But I to me it's all about trying to breathe life into a scene,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't I I don't care about the dialogue. I'm not talented enough to write Coen Brothers dialogue, so I don't care enough about it.
I don't know how true that statement is, but
Oh, it's very true. Um, but I also think when actors, even when I'm not in the room, a lot of times I'll have two or three takes with certain actors that are uploaded to me, and I
mm,
and I like seeing, like, oh, that's their first instinct, and then go to take
mm,
four, oh, that's where they ended up. Okay, so they're directable, they can
mm-hmm,
change, they can. It's
mm-hmm,
nice to know that they're not just hitting the same note every time, and
right,
that they have the ability to bring things in if they go too big, and yeah.
right. Um, how much involvement do you like to have with the actors before you start production, with like rehearsals or just chatting with them? Um, if you have the ability to do so, I mean, I know you don't always have the ability.
Yeah. If I have the ability, it's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
these days it's harder and harder to. I mean, even for a short-term 12, like um, we did what we could within the week or two leading up to the movie, but everyone's just so busy on
Yeah.
different things. It's hard to just say, okay, we're going to rehearse every day.
Yeah.
But I rather than just doing scenes or going through scenes, I like to give little projects to the actors that will to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For Hipster, we had to create a family, so I sent Dominic and our our three actors playing his sisters, and just sent them out on like a 4 hour long hike together
Mm,
with some with an envelope full of questions that I wanted them to ask each other, and
that's
little
awesome.
silly things that they had to do together. And by the time they came back, they really did feel like a family.
Yeah.
And I try to do things, whatever I can, to allow at least the ice to break before we're rolling
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, so many questions that people ask, but I'm trying to go with the ones, just keep rolling on what we're talking about. But when talking about watching reels, because that's obviously
Oh,
a whole.
Joy's in this. Did they have to fart in front of each other? Oh, yeah. That's my sister.
Really?
Yeah, they did. That was one of the questions, one of the things that in the envelope was, at some point on the hike, somebody had to fart in front of everybody else.
Was that really one of the things?
That what really was. Become true siblings
Yeah,
when you're.
that's like groundbreaking right there. I think that distinguishes the difference for sure. Um, when you're watching reels, because sometimes, and I'm sure you went through this now, or you'll go through this in the future, and you have to watch reels with actors that you're not familiar with, and usually they'll meet in some way, whether it's in person or over Skype, and you're not really familiar with them. Is there something that really draws you in from their reel? Is it just like a quality, or just like, what is it that like really draws you in about that?
If I'm watching their reel in particular?
Yeah.
It's the same thing as film, films in general. They're just, the human face is so complicated. There's so many little things that you are doing as an actor that, is, I don't know how my brain is processing what you're doing to make it connect with me, but I'm just looking for actors who are connecting to me, whether that's through their comedy or through a really intense dramatic scene. It doesn't matter, but crying, that's a great thing too.
Yeah. And do you like for casting directors to be like a strong collaborator with you? Like when they're sending you these lists, and maybe auditions, like, do you like for them to interject their opinions first, or do you kind of like to look everything with a blank slate and not really have those opinions in your head?
I mean, I'm a collaborator all around. I love people's opinions. I mean, a lot of times I don't know. It just depends at what point in the process we're at. If I'm like super slammed, I'm like, just, so who are your favorites? And then I'll just pay special attention to them. But sometimes I'm like, I want to watch them all, and then we hop on and say, so who are your favorites? And we all just talk about our favorites. And then I'm also asking, how were they in the room? Did you find them to be directable? Did you find them to?
So Instagram's gonna kick us off in a bit.
Cool.
So before that happens, is there something you know now about the industry or just about directing that you know now that you wish you had known, in film school or when you were kind of just starting out?
I wish more people told. I heard I had a light to make it, how much you have to network, how much you have, like, just this whole list of have tos if you're gonna make it in the industry. I didn't have very many people tell me that you have to work really hard to be true to yourself. Not only in the art that you're making, but just in life. Like you have to be working on yourself to be a open person. And if your relationships and your friendships or your significant other, if that's fucked up, it's also, it makes its way into your creativity as well. So to me, I wish somebody like was teaching me a little bit more of like trying to have a really well-rounded cooperation between my creative world and my normal life, which I am learning to have the more I grow up. And I've now found that every film project that I work on is really a part of my journey of growing up and becoming a better human. So.
Are you you're not living in Sydney now, are you? Or are you just there for production?
It feels like it.
Well, now you kind of are, right?
I mean, we're here. We're here shooting this big movie.
Yeah.
It feels like we're living here. It's a great place to be here right now, though. And we're hunkered down with the family in this house. My sister's actually on here, and she's like in the other guest house, like right next door.
Hi, sis. Really really quick question before we get
Also, my favorite surfer is Micah Nickens, and my brother Denham.
And your brother what? Oh,
My brother Denham.
Are you surfing out here?
Uh,
Out there?
I wish. No, I would like to, but I have no time right now.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Really quick question before the Instagram live gets shut off. How do you think production is going to resolve after this? Like, I don't know. There's been a lot of articles that have come out in terms of like being able to handle, you know, social distancing while shooting. What do you know? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I know nothing. What do I think? I mean, I think we all have to just be more careful. I think there's going to be very specific strategies that are put in place for operating on a film set. I don't know exactly. As particularly until there's an immunization for this.
Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out how to make sure that we are operating in a safe way, but
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. You don't have
maybe I'll be directing from right here.
from Instagram Live. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. They didn't give you any sort of go back date or anything like that, like any sort of estimate.
Not that I can talk about, but
No,
yeah,
no. I was
there's
just
some
curious
things.
if they had. Or my production was like we're indefinitely shut down, which is just
well, we're definitely coming back.
yeah.
And there's a plan in place, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all dependent.
Yeah. Well, I hope sooner rather than later.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I think we're all going bonkers, and I can't even imagine just everything you're going through, and with kids and a newborn, and it's a lot. It's a lot right now.
It's the best.
It is the best, but let me tell you, also from experience, going a little crazy over here.
Weird time, but I think we're trying to make the best of it. It's a strange time to actually be able to sit with yourself and the people that you love and like have this. I think we'll look back and actually really be grateful for this time.
Yeah.
But it's also a really I feel extremely lucky that we're not in places where a lot of people are.
Yeah. No, we are fortunate. Well, I'm getting the countdown, so I just want to thank you so much again for taking that time and sitting down and chatting with me and answering questions, and it was really fun.
Yeah, it's fun for me too.
Yeah, good.
Thanks to everybody for watching. Sorry, I was trying to like read some of these.
It's so hard
comments, but they just like kind of keep coming.
It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.